Hello, traders, and welcome to TradingWithBill.com. It is a Monday. Wow, the 7th of August. Where is this year going? Hey, listen, less than 6 months away, it'll be Christmas. Traders coming to you from Pattaya, Thailand. Bright blue, sunny skies. Absolutely gorgeous today. Absolutely fantastic. Beautiful. Up early this morning, nice breeze. Coffee on the balcony. Coffee again at the trading desk. Good to be back on a Monday, my friends. It is great to be back. I love the weekends, but by about Sunday morning, I get a little itchy. Time to get back in the business. Hey, what about that NFP? Huh? Coming in at 208, sell off. Dollar index goes up. All the pairs go down. As we talked about many times before, these moves are all about the dollar. Okay, let's get to it. Let's talk about, there's not a lot of news today, my friends, and I didn't see anything big for tomorrow, but let's just chat about it just for a second here. Canada is on a holiday today for a civic holiday, and New Zealand has inflation expectations coming out in a couple of hours. And then really, it's really slow moving. German industrial production today comes out. Wow, yeah, not a lot. Halifax price index out of the pound, month on month, year on year. What do we got else down here? Really, not a lot, my friends. Tomorrow in Asia, we have Japan's got adjusted current account, and then the Aussies got NAB business confidence for July. So that's about it, my friends. As far as today goes, slow day. Usually that's the way it is on a Monday. Let's see what the markets did on Friday. S&P 500 futures up 0.16%. NASDAQ futures is up 0.32%. Dow 30 is up 0.30%. S&P VIX is negative 3.93%. The Nikkei 225 is up 0.60%. And the dollar index is negative 0.09%, still at that 93 mark. We're now at 93.29. Euro index is up 0.15% at 94.21. Let's see. Commodities. Let's talk about some commodities. What do we got here? Gold down 0.14%, currently at 1,262 and 87 cents. What do we got? WTI is at 49.53, just hovering that 50 mark, and Brent is above the 50 mark at 52.38. And I think we're going a week now with Brent above the $50 mark, and that is a nice thing. I like it. And of course, U.S. coffee is flat across the board, all zeros. All right, that's about it on that note. Let's chat a little bit here today and see what we have going on. Now, as always on a Monday, I always talk about the euro, the euro. But take a look at this, my friends. This here just is really nice. Now, there is a way you could have traded this with NFP. You could have did what, I like to call a straddle trade. Basically, you're going to put an entry entry for, like, say, 10 pips above price. Then you can put your stop and you take profit, and then you go to the bottom side and do the same thing. So you basically got two full trades on, and it would trigger one, and then once that triggers, you'd go and get rid of the other one. Once it triggers, get the other trade off the table. However, this wasn't an easy call. If you got it, man, congratulations. That's a good job. I didn't get it. In fact, I wasn't even at my desk on Friday in New York. I bolted out early. I was. It was a tough week last week. I think I only had one live trade all week. So I didn't play around with NFP. I basically bailed out early on Friday. It was an early day out of here from the trading desk, but I'm really glad to be back. So what do we got now today? Well, this is a good opportunity here. We're going to get this pullback. We're at the 38.2. Maybe it'll come up to the 50%, which would be nice at 1.1790. And then we'll take it all the way down, really, 1,700, but about 1,708, 1,715, somewhere in there. We'll look to get out of the trade, and we'll see what happens. Again, this is all about the dollar. We need the dollar to get strong in London open, and then we'll just take this to the downside. I mean, right here, if it doesn't get to the 50%, right here is not a bad spot to take this trade, right? Just take it and take it down. You've got very little left of the chart, so it should be a pretty decent trade. So that's what's going on with the euro. I want to take a look at the dollar yen here, and this is pretty interesting here because these are at some levels here. Now, you know for a while now I'm a dollar bull. However, this did an overshoot here. It took out this high over here. Now it's come back. I'm wondering, can this be a level, or is it going to be the 200 is going to be a level where it's going to bounce and take it back to the upside? If you take a look left of the chart, the 200 has been respected the whole time it's hit it on either side of the up or down, right? So I'm thinking if this takes out this yellow line here, brown line is a median line. So I'm thinking maybe this will take here and then just pop to the upside again. I've told you all this before that I don't necessarily trade the dollar yen, but I definitely use it as a guide. So we're gonna watch this. We're gonna watch this, and these are only 30-minute charts, but we'll keep an eye on it, see how this happens. If you look at angle and separation, we do have some angle and separation. They're a little out of whack here. You got a 200, then you got the 55 down here, and then you got your 5, your 20. So we'll keep an eye on it. Right now we got the 5 EMA on top of price, which we would expect, and we're hoping that this gets down to the 200 or this median line and just takes it to the upside. That's what's going on there. Take a look at the Aussie. Big talk about the Aussie. I was out with friends this weekend, and I have a lot of friends from Australia and Thailand. People that live here full time, and also ones that come over for a little bit. And the Aussie's at some crazy levels, and of course it's come down now from that 80 level, that 0.80 level. And I always talk about this, that Australia wants their currency down at 65, 64, somewhere in there. They sure don't want it at 79.45, right? They don't want it there. So we're going to see what happens here. But I don't see any trade opportunities here, to be honest with you, because this is all crunched together. These are really weak moves here. So I don't see anything that we're gonna be able to take away from this. We'll just leave it alone, let it do its thing. I'd love for this to come all the way back up to the C here at 79.70. 79.70. Wouldn't that be a great place to jerk this to the downside, right? Right? Let's see if we can get that over here maybe. 63, 68, somewhere in there. Take that to the downside. We can get a pull back up to here and get them down. Now, what's the problem with that? Well, the problem with that is you're in a mess here. You got a 200, right? Then a 55 and a 20 and a 5, and it's all going to be right there, and you're going to be trading into that. So it's not the best trade setup. Really, you'd want to see this come back to 80, to believe it or not. 80-10, right? 80-10 up here, and then take it to the downside. I don't think that's going to happen. So, if we can get up to the 200 or this C leg of this bat, and then we can just take this to the downside. So we'll watch it. I am actively looking at the Aussie to trade this, though. I'm torn between two. That I think it's a tradable pair, and I think we can trade this. But we all know it's a commodity pair, so it just doesn't go on what the Aussie's doing and what the dollar's doing. But it goes on, what China's doing and what what Canada. It's a commodity pair. Everything's intertwined into this pair. So we're gonna play it. We're gonna play it, and just be cautious. I hate saying it. It's summertime. We have 4 weeks left, babies. 4 weeks left, and we'll be out of this summer stuff. End of the first week of September, we should be back to full strength. One last one real quick here. We'll just take a look at the pound. Really nice opportunity here. How are you going to trade this, my friends? Real simple. Just take your tool here. Get a Fibonacci tool on here. Here's the swing, but I'm going to use the high here. 2 to the right, 2 to the left. Right? Put this out over here. Now we got a spot where we can look at. The 23.6 is great, right? You got a 55 right there. But, I'd really like to get up to this 38.2 level, and then we could just take this to the downside, right? 38.2, nice fib level. 31.17. Now, I understand if you don't want to go in there because you're going into a double zero after that. But there's nothing left of the chart. So I'd make an exception for that trade and look to do that to the downside, even though it's right above the double zero. If you wanted to wait, you can always, wait till it's below the 30 level, the double zero level. and take it at 30.90, right? So why don't we talk about that? There you go, right there. So that's a 30.90 level. You're right at the 55 EMA. Not a bad spot to take it. Maybe that's a better idea. We won't wait for it to get up there. We'll just wait for the 30.90 level, and we'll try to sell it from there. It's a fib level. We got a little bit of action over here. But again, my friends, what's the big part of this? Wide open space. Wide open space. Nothing going on here. This, that's what we like to trade, right? These wide open spaces. Nothing here. There's no price action here. We love it, right? Get a little pullback, and we'll sink it back down into the wide open space. Thank you, NFP. All right, my friends. Thank you so much for being with me on a Monday, August 7th, 2017. Traders, catch you tomorrow. TradingWithBill.com. Keep your comments coming. Keep your emails coming. Visit my website. Say hello. Catch you next time. Take care now. Bye-bye.